Most couples think that choosing a wedding photographer in Portugal is about style. Guess what? It's not. The real decision couples get wrong is choosing a wedding photographer before they choose the right region. And this eventually it will cost them time, light and calmness. In the next minutes of this video, we'll show you how the region where you choose to have your wedding in Portugal, so like Algarve, Lisbon, Sintra, can change your photos. And also how you can evaluate photographers once you choose your wedding region. Who are we? Well, we are Rui and Savannah from the Lopes Photography. We normally work all across Portugal and also Europe, and we shoot digital, film, Super 8, all the cool stuff. And often our weddings that we shoot are multi-day, so it can be wedding weekends with several activities before and after the wedding day. And this isn't about trends or packages. It's all about the process, light, movement, timelines, and how real weddings behave in real places. If you want to read this, so there's a full list by region that we have in our website. I'll leave the link below. Let's start to talk about the decision that controls everything, the region of your wedding. So starting with the Algarve. What photographs best at the Algarve? When you think about Algarve, think about open horizons, directional sunset light, clean ceremony backdrops with depth, and also strong editorial portraits but without rushing. As any other place, the timeline will also have some risks. Namely, those midday ceremonies can flatten faces and also the skies. And if you go for a coastal ceremony, the wind on the cliffs is real. So who is Algarve for? It's for couples who value portraits and also that sunset pacing. Algarve is also good for multi-day events and also relaxed timelines. The big truth, Algarve does reward patience, but not every couple wants that, right? So let's go to our next area, Lisbon. And Lisbon weddings are all about movement and energy. What photographs best in Lisbon? Motion, layers, that candid energy, architectural framing, and the urban texture, of course. And what are the timeline risks for a wedding in Lisbon? Well, a real thing. Lisbon is a capital of Portugal, big city. There will be traffic jams. And also, if you think about timing, between 12 and 4 p.m., the harsh light over your head can be really, really strong. So who is Lisbon for? So if you are a couple that you really value the story, so it's Lisbon, full of history, and also movement over portraits. Another big advantage of Lisbon is that your guests can all stay relatively close from each other, so it's easy for them to move around. Remember, Lisbon adds energy to your wedding day, but not softness. Now our next area, Sintra wedding, full of drama and dance. What photographs best in Sintra? Think about architectural drama, texture and scale of things. Also, of course, those moody editorial frames. What are the risks for the timeline of wedding in Sintra? Well, of course, it's a very touristy area, so tourists can make things delay on your side, and also tight portrait windows. So who is Sintra for? Sintra is for couples that prioritize the architecture, beautiful areas over the light flexibility that another region can give you. Let's do our micro recap. Algarve, think about light and space. Lisbon, think about movement and story. Sintra, think about structure and mood. Once the region is clear for both of you, then you go to the next step, that is which photographer makes sense for the area that I want to have my wedding. Big question, then how can you evaluate a wedding photographer in Portugal? Here are a few things that you should look beyond just the style of the photographer. First one, it's a big one today. Look and ask for full wedding galleries. Don't focus just on the styled photo shoots that people do. Also, take into account the timeline intelligence in mixed light. How do they perform when light is different during the day? Also, are they experienced in navigating the logistics and the distances? Then, if you want to go super technical with your photographer, I'll leave you here 3 questions. One of them, the first one, can be, how do you handle the harsh midday light in Portugal? Second question, well, if my timeline slips, what happens? And the third one, How do you photograph my guests and us as a couple without chaos? If your wedding photographer also does film photos and Super 8, some don't, some leave the Super 8 for wedding videographers, you need to think about the context, not just the hype of film and Super 8. For example, we could say, well, film loves those Algarve long evenings. Super 8 is kind of movies they thrive during welcome events, during the transitions between moments. And also go technical. Ask them, when do you shoot film? Not just if you should film, yes or no. Our micro recap once again. Remember that you are not hiring style. You are hiring decision making. Now let's talk about another big thing, the cost. Because Portugal pricing confuses almost everyone. It's a real thing. What actually affects the price of your Portugal wedding photography? There are 4 things that affect the price of your photography. First one, the region plus the travel days. Second one, are you having a multi-coverage wedding for your photographer or videographer? A third thing, is a second photographer necessary? Personally, we always recommend that. Then you are always covered. And a fourth, the film and Super 8 processing. Remember also something when you look at the price of your wedding photographer. 3 things that cost doesn't tell you. Cost doesn't tell you the timeline calmness. Cost doesn't tell you adaptability. Cost doesn't tell you the guest experience. And a big thing to always watch out, of course, is when you go for the cheapest photographer that travels everywhere. What's the fix for this? For example, you can choose a photographer that you see that he or she is already used to work in that region. Finally, let's put all of these in an order so you can trust the process. What's the decision order? Let's do this in 3 steps. First, choose the region based on light and pace. Second, build a timeline of your wedding day that protects photos. Third, then you can compare photographers within that context. Or micro recap, region, timeline, photographer. Never the other way around, okay? If you want this full Portugal wedding checklist, region comparisons, timelines, what questions you should ask, it's all in our website. You'll see the link in the description below. If you also feel that you are ready to talk with us about your dates, about your wedding, about multi-day coverage, also our inquiry link is below.